Here's more wrestling news for September 20th, 2022, and we're starting off with Vince McMahon, as it was reported earlier this month that his daughter Stephanie wanted to do something extra special for him following his abrupt departure from WWE. Vince, arguably the most influential man in wrestling, left the company on a whimper due to the ongoing investigation against him, and it was reported that Stephanie had pitched her father for next year's Hall of Fame. We now have an update on that situation, as when Ringside News asked around, they were told that there have been no plans discussed with the writers or producers about the Hall of Fame. When reaching to another source who is typically the first to hear about Hall of Fame plans, they said they hadn't heard anything about a McMahon induction and that the Hall of Fame decisions aren't made at the highest levels until at least November. Vince McMahon historically wanted to keep his name out of the WWE Hall of Fame, and upon the first report, it was said that many in WWE expected a backlash if Vince is announced for next year's class. The things McMahon is alleged to have done are still fresh in the minds of fans, so even if Stephanie does want her father inducted, it may simply not be feasible at this time. Now, AEW will have a huge week this week with their Grand Slam editions of both Dynamite and Rampage. Both shows have stacked cards, and AEW has found it fitting to send a warning to fans attending the events. In a tweet, AEW encouraged all fans to take mass transit transport to the show, saying that parking is limited in the area and that the gates will open at 5:30 p.m. With 2 stacked nights of content, the last thing any fan wants to do is miss out because they're looking for a parking space, so fans heading to the shows should plan ahead of time to avoid missing out. Last month, Patrick Clark, aka Velveteen Dream, was arrested after an incident in a gym and was charged with both battery and trespassing. Clark was asked to leave a certain area of the gym as it needed to be cleaned and was very confrontational, allegedly resulting in him punching the gym employee and threatening to kill him. According to PW Insider, Patrick Clark's court hearing for charges of battery and trespassing on a property originally scheduled for September 28th has been canceled, and the report indicates that the case has been closed. The records accessed by TMZ confirmed that the attorneys did not have enough evidence on Dream, so the case was not suitable for prosecution. This isn't the only illegal issue Clark has had, as he also recently completed a 25 stint behind bars for violating his probation order related to a November 2021 arrest for possession of drug paraphernalia. Perhaps Clark will see these recent incidents as a sign to try to turn things around, as if legal issues like these continue, his return to wrestling gets less and less likely. In November, WWE will host Crown Jewel, which will be headlined by undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns defending against Logan Paul. The decision to include Paul not only on the show, but in a main event world title spot has certainly received a mixed response, with many fans feeling he isn't deserving of a title shot. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer has now given an explanation of WWE's reasoning, saying, "He's a big deal in Saudi Arabia. He's a big deal to the Saudi Arabian prince, and that's the whole thing of these shows." Meltzer went even further, saying that WWE's Saudi events aren't about selling tickets or even getting good ratings, but to satisfy the requests of the Saudi royals, especially the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is paying WWE a fortune to host these events, which they believe will promote Saudi Arabia to the world, and if the Crown Prince wants Logan Paul in the main event, then that's exactly what he's going to get. Logan Paul may be known as an incredibly successful YouTuber and boxer by many, but some will always know him for his most infamous video. In 2017, Paul shared a video from what is commonly known as the Suicide Forest at the foot of Mount Fuji in Japan and filmed a man who had taken his own life. What followed was international condemnation of Paul, who would issue an apology, but one name who hasn't forgotten is Roman Reigns. Speaking to Seconds Out, the tribal chief referenced the video saying, "I don't have any problems with him not watching me because he was busy doing what he does, and that's videotaping himself doing God knows what. So go videotape yourself doing God knows what and leave the true professionalism, the sports entertainment, the professional wrestling to people like me." Logan Paul is looking to put his past controversy behind him, but nothing really disappears from the internet, but he'll have to have his focus squarely on the tribal chief at Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel will be just one of several big events for WWE this year, following the likes of Clash of the Castle on September 3rd and the WWE Worlds Collide event the next day. The timing of these shows was questionable, as September 4th also saw AEW host All Out, with the assumption being that WWE filled the weekend with wrestling to try and stick it to the competition. Speaking to Ariel Helwani, MJF spoke about All Out, which also marked his return to programming, and how Tony Khan felt pressurized by WWE's counter-booking. Tony Khan felt personally attacked at that point, and you can't blame him. WWE, once they find out they're doing a pay-per-view at this time of the year, all of a sudden, magically, there's 2 pay-per-views. And again, totally understandable. If I was on the other side of the fence, I would be doing 5 pay-per-views on the same day. Again, his back was against the wall. He felt pressurized. While AEW All Out tried to be a success, the show has been overshadowed, perhaps not by WWE, but by the actions of CM Punk after the event. Now AEW's next pay-per-view will be their Full Gear event on November 19th, and it remains to be seen if WWE has any last-minute plans for that weekend. AEW may have a problem with WWE's booking of events, but they've got much bigger issues to deal with within their own promotion. For months, we've seen reports of talent being unhappy in AEW, with multiple wrestlers liking tweets suggesting that they'd be better off working for WWE. When asked by Ariel Helwani whether the proverbial inmates are running the asylum in AEW, MJF said he didn't agree with that idea. Addressing the fact 3 suspended wrestlers are also executive vice presidents of the company, MJF admitted that he's never considered himself to be a part of the AEW team and that the only 3 letters he cares about are his own. The Salt of the Earth reminded Helwani that AEW is still a baby, noting that the company has only been around for 3 years, but that everyone gives 110% in a rare bit of praise for the promotion. Saying that everyone in AEW wants AEW to be successful, while MJF wants MJF to be successful, the Salt of the Earth certainly won't be going to any talent-wide meetings, but wants the company to do well if it means he gets paid the big bucks. Prior to his hiatus following Double or Nothing, there'd been a lot of talk about MJF, who has teased leaving AEW over the years, and now the Salt of the Earth has provided us with an update. In that same interview with Ariel Helwani, MJF announced that he has a new deal with AEW, which is earning him a lot more money, but one that has not added any more time to his contract, which will expire as scheduled on January 1st, 2024. MJF also spoke about his hiatus, saying that during his time away, he was vacationing around Greece with his girlfriend, who he proposed to last week. Speaking about WWE, MJF once more didn't rule out jumping to Stephanie McMahon's company, saying that come January 1st, 2024, whoever pays the most will get his services. MJF has proven to be one of AEW's most impressive stars, and the company will want to keep him around, but that may be much easier said than done when going up against WWE. Yesterday, we reported on Trish Stratus, who recently underwent surgery to remove her appendix. The WWE Hall of Famer informed her fans that her appendix was getting ready to burst prior to the surgery, and that she'd driven herself to the emergency room. Now, Trish has given her first comments post-surgery, and in another video on social media, thanked her well-wishers for their support. Stratus added that this whole experience has taught her the importance of listening to her body, and that's why she's going to take things easy for the time being. The 7-time WWE Women's Champion appeared on Raw in her native Toronto just a few weeks ago, but after what's happened, Trish has earned some serious rest. When you attend a WWE live event, you'll get the chance to see things that may not usually make it to TV, as superstars are able to be more relaxed in the non-televised setting. During a live event over the weekend, SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan was set to defend against Natalya, but had some fun before the match got started. As Natalya was mouthing off to the crowd, Morgan gave her a slap on the bum, but quickly ran, leaving the referee to take the blame. Fans of the venue found the situation hilarious, as did fans online, with one fan saying that Morgan's antics were reminiscent of the late Eddie Guerrero. Morgan's next televised title defense will be at Extreme Rules, when she defends against Ronda Rousey in an Extreme Rules match, and she'll have to be all business for that match after her bit of fun this past weekend. More from AEW as Leila Gray became a big presence on TV when she filled in for Red Velvet and became a member of the Baddies, and she'll be sticking with the company for the long term. Speaking to the Dye Sporting Network, Gray confirmed that she signed a contract with AEW in July this year and that they've been fantastic to her. Gray's signing was much different to most AEW stars who usually get an announcement on social media, while Leila transitioned from Dark to working with the baddies. The nature of Gray's contract is also unknown, as Cody Rhodes said that there's tiers 1, 2, 3, 4, and Chris Jericho, but whatever tier she's on, Leila Gray will be sticking with the baddies and AEW moving forward. Leila Gray will be working for Tony Khan like anyone else signed to an AEW contract, but just how much leadership does the AEW president actually have? Khan has always tried to present himself as one of the guys, but his managerial abilities have come under scrutiny, especially after he was cut off during the all-out press conference by his employee CM Punk. Before that event, it had been reported that there was a lot of conflict backstage, and during the latest Monday mailbag, former WWE ref Mike Chioda questioned what kind of leader he really is. Tony Khan is the leader. It doesn't seem like he leads. He doesn't need to be on every podcast, he needs to be behind the scenes more. Chioda isn't alone in this view, with Vince Russo critiquing the AEW president on his YouTube page. They're not gonna respect you, looking like a freaking man-child, so number one, with all this madness that took place, number one, start dressing the part of a businessman, of a team owner, of a company owner. Start looking the part, bro, because the way you present yourself is an effing joke. Khan may want to be the cool, fun boss, but sometimes a strong, somewhat strict leader is needed, especially when not taking charge leads to what happened after All Out. One name who doesn't have to answer to Tony Khan anymore is Malakai Black, who left the promotion following All Out. Black reportedly had his first request denied, but after making it clear that he wanted to leave over his mental health and was considering leaving wrestling entirely, Tony Khan granted him a conditional release. Black was said to be considering leaving wrestling permanently, but said he will wrestle again during a recent indie show. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer suggested that Black may not have been honest when talking about wanting out of wrestling, and merely wanted out of AEW to return to WWE. He wanted out from AEW, and I guess we'll see what happens. Obviously, he wanted to go back to WWE, and he had a lot of time left on his deal. I think 4.5 years are left on his deal. It's really difficult to keep someone who's unhappy under contract for that length of time. Returning to WWE would certainly be a bold move for Black, who is a former NXT champion and who never held gold during his AEW tenure. We imagine that if Black had told Tony Khan he wanted to leave to return to WWE, his release wouldn't have been approved, but now he's out and could be soon going back to his former employer. And we're ending today with more from Black, as we mentioned his appearance during an indie event, and he had some choice words. During his promo, Black described disappointment at having supposedly private conversations leaked, as well as promises made which have been unfulfilled. On social media, many fans suggested that these unfulfilled promises came from Tony Khan, given the reports that Black left AEW to return to WWE. Some suggested that Black could have also been talking about WWE, as he was once reported to be one of 2 men considered to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 36 before that honor went to Drew McIntyre. Whatever the case, Black isn't pleased with somebody, and we'll have to wait and see where the Dutchman next calls home. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.